I just clapped.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of BS in History.
It's that time.
It's that
It's that
time.
time.
It's that
It's
time.
that
Can you get this
time.
volume all right? Now, Dan, I need to make sure of something because I share my screen with you so that you can see me and that
Yeah.
I'm not a
Yeah.
disembodied voice. But I need to make sure you
Yeah.
can't see a window floating, right? You're not cheating. You can't see my stories in front of you. Just see very good.
No, I just see you. I see this wonderful backdrop, and I see that beautiful score underneath.
No, you see the number 3. Oh gosh. Listen, I am bridging the gap after last time we played this game. I am getting
Yeah.
ever closer, ever closer. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BS in History, a podcast, two truths and a lie
Yeah.
throughout history. Dan, I'm going to get our little stream chat automatic sort of message going. Would you mind describing
Auto magic.
Auto magic? Ooh, it's a good day for that. Would you mind giving
Yeah.
a brief description of BS in History that
Yeah.
we're doing today?
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is simple. So, guys, listen. Here's the deal. If you've ever been to an annoying work function or a summer camp, you may have played a little game called Two Truths and a Lie. I guess it's also a game at parties, but that sounds very lame. Two Truths and a Lie is a game that Nathan and I are about to play right now, but we put our own twist on it with BS in History because Nathan and myself, we love to research, we love to learn, and we love to teach. So in BS in History, we will be sharing 3 stories with each other about different subjects that we selected on air last week. And with those stories, we're going to try to educate the other player, but also one of those stories is BS. It's a lie. It's not true. It's not real. And
Dirty
we
rotten lie.
have to tell it convincingly so that the other player doesn't know that it's a lie. That's the goal. That's the game. The game is deception, where you can upset your friends. So this week, we're going to be talking about a little summer fun. We decided we wanted to enjoy the summer, even though it's a weird summer and, 2020 is a weird year. That's fine. We're going to be talking about 2 of the best theme parks in the world.
They're the only
Universal
theme
Studios. Whoa, no, come on, man. Six Flags is still there.
Oh, I forgot about it.
It's,
I'm sorry, I
it's
interrupted
still
you.
there.
Universal Studios and Disney. Disney, near
Yeah.
and dear to our hearts as Orlando
Yeah.
as Orlando
And Orlandians?
Orlando Orlandans.
Orlandans. We're
Orla-
Orlandans
Orla-
and heart. That's what matters.
Oh my gosh, we assigned these last week, and based on the outcome of last week, I got assigned Disney, and you got assigned Universal Studios.
Couldn't
so
be happier. Very happy about that,
It's
actually.
a good thing because I know so little about Universal Studios.
Yeah.
and
I will say this right now. Ready? Here we go. Hot take, everybody. I like Universal more than Disney.
that is a spicy take, Dan.
That's a spicy take. I'm going to say it right now. I have been to the Universal Studios in Japan, in Osaka, and the Disney theme parks are great. They're spectacular.
I was going to say you went
I
to
did,
Disney.
and that's a spectacular Disney as well. But that Universal blew me away. The best ride I have ever ridden in my life goes to that Universal. It is the Neon Genesis Evangelion You Will Not Survive virtual reality track ride. It was one of the coolest things where you literally get to ride on a track with a VR headset on while you're looking around at a giant mech battle going on right at next to your face.
There's no way that my brain. I tend to get sick. Okay, so I get sick on one of the Universal rides I do know about, which is the Hogwarts ride, which the name I can't remember. The Harry Potter Hogwarts ride makes me
Forbidden
sick.
Journey? Forbidden Journey.
Okay. Well, either way, when it flips you up in weird ways, your body is not meant to
See,
meant to fly.
but that's different. When you think of the track rides, though, I don't want you thinking about whoa, look at me, I'm whipping around. A track ride is just as simple as it's a small world.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, at a certain point, I took the VR headset up to look around at what I was in, and it looked like an abandoned It's a Small World. It was bizarre.
I do think that
Nathan would puke.
says Nathan would puke. Yes. I do think that Universal is up to the ride game. I think that in general, roller coasters at Universal have always been better, and Universal is setting the pace for what Disney's trying to match. And I know Disney's done some cool stuff recently with the Avatar Flight of Passage stuff is a really great
Sure,
ride.
awesome.
It's but they are following in Universal's footsteps a bit with innovation on the ride front.
Yeah, I mean, but even beyond that, I used to say Disney, though, wins in theming, But I'm sorry, if you've been to the Harry Potter theme parks, it's game over.
But again,
That's themed perfectly.
that is also born out of innovation. That is Universal following in Disney's footsteps. I think that's Universal taking the lessons of Disney and applying them in a better way. And then
killing it.
You've got competition though, at least, so you're going to get better here, better there, better here, better there, kind of thing. But I
don't know. Diagon Alley is far cooler than anything I've been in Disney. Diagon Alley is one of the coolest places I've ever walked through.
That is true. You got to go to Galaxy's Edge. But
that's true. That's very true. I have not been to Galaxy's Edge.
But Diagon Alley is so movie perfect that it's mind blowing. Like, it doesn't feel like you should. It feels like you're on a movie set and you shouldn't be. I mean, so does Galaxy's Edge, though. It's so good. Well,
I will withhold my opinion until I go to Galaxy's Edge. That is a fair point.
Well, last week I went first, so I think.
Oh, that's right.
I did. So I think it's my turn to try to listen to 3 stories about Universal and try to use my very limited knowledge to pick out the lie. I'm going to go ahead and hide chat really quickly so that I don't get any hints from anybody in chat who may know more than I do about Universal Studios. And I'm just going to let you take it away.
Yeah, so a little background. When I was trying to put these stories together, for anybody who knows me who might be listening to this, I actually worked at Universal Studios for about a decade. Seasonally, I was in Halloween Horror Nights, so I'm very familiar with this specific building that I'm going to talk about, because the building that I'm about to talk about was eventually one of the sound stages used frequently for Halloween Horror Night events. In fact, I worked there the year that they started using it for Halloween Horror Nights, and it was a big deal. Are you familiar at all with Soundstage 44?
No. If I've been many times to Hollywood Studios, or I'm sorry, to Universal Horror Nights, Hollywood Horror Nights. What's the word I'm looking for? Halloween
Horror Nights, yeah.
And I've been in various sound stages many times. Have I likely been into it?
There's a good chance. This is the soundstage that is now, so they would never use it again because it is now used for the Transformers ride.
Oh.
So it has been fully converted now and is now Transformers. But before that, it was a soundstage.
Okay. All right.
So, and actually, you know what? Here's where I know you've seen it. If you've been to Halloween Horror Nights, they often did scare streets down the length of it. Yeah. That was one of the big scare streets.
Yeah, so it's right by, there's a restaurant right by it that's kind of like old dinery kind of thing. And I mean, I've been on the...
are you talking about Mel's Die-In? Come on. Come on.
Yes, because the inn is unlimited, yes. Okay, all right.
So we're going to be talking about Soundstage 44. And the reason I want to talk about Soundstage 44 is until this Transformers ride came out, Universal could not figure out what the hell to do with this building. So I'm going to take you through 3 of its previous tenants, and we're going to talk about what you used to be able to do in that building as a guest at Universal Studios. No, the whole thing is about this building. All 3 stories are about this one building, because there's no way. I promise you, when I'm done, there is no way you're going to look confidently at any of these stories and say, well, that one is a lie. That one's a lie. Because all of them sound like lies. All of them sound like lies.
All right. I'm excited.
Now, we're going to do this chronologically because this first attraction did open up either with the park or shortly after the park. I couldn't get an exact date on that. It might have just been soft opening when the park opened. I'm going to read the tagline to this, because as one of the opening attractions, it did have a poster with a tagline, and I just loved it so much that I really want to read it.
Okay.
Our first attraction was Murder, She Wrote Mystery Theater.
Okay.
At a real working studio, everybody works, even you. You'll be the producer as you call all the shots on an episode of Emmy Award-winning Murder, She Wrote. Pick all the stars, the crooks, the cops, the takes, sound effects, and even the music. That was the poster. That was the tagline. Murder, She Wrote Mystery Theater was an interactive show that opened with Universal Studios Florida in June of 1990. This was a bizarre show in that Murder, She Wrote actually used the Hollywood Universal backlot for filming. So even though it was not filmed in Orlando, it was the inspiration for why Universal Studios hosted the attraction. But they only hosted the attraction in Florida because Murder, She Wrote was featured in the Hollywood backlot tour in Universal Studios Hollywood. In the show, guests were selected to be executive producers on a new episode of the Murder, She Wrote television show. The 25-minute show focused on the production of a variety of effects, including makeup, sound, and visual effects, before showcasing the editing process. Following the cancellation of Murder, She Wrote, the TV show, the attraction was closed in 1994.
The attraction was closed in 1994.
1994.
When was it opened? Clarity?
1990.
Okay.
Yeah, June of 1990. It closed in 1994. But don't worry, you got to experience the thrilling life of being an executive producer on Angela Lansbury's Murder, She Wrote.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Thinking. It's a very big building.
Sure,
And it's
big
a
building.
very small experience. But I also know this to be the park that has like the Twister experience.
Sure.
That's like
Absolutely.
in a big building that for no reason is, there.
Or earthquake or disaster, what it became. That was
Right.
like, oh, we're
Right,
going to
right,
film
right,
an action scene. Here we go, guys.
Right, exactly. So this
That's
calls
my
in-
earthquake voice.
Here we go, guys. It's just an earthquake. Don't worry about it. It's fake. Yeah. So this doesn't fall out of line with Disney or with what Universal would do. I have a question. Here's my question. Where in the California Universal Studios Hollywood backlot tour is Murder, She Wrote featured?
I knew you were going to ask that question, and I'm so proud of myself. I literally looked it up because I was like, there's something about this factoid. I feel like this is what Nathan's going to ask about. The answer is on Amity Lake, where the Jaws ride is. That is where they filmed for Murder, She Wrote. So on the backlot tour, you go behind Amity Lake and they show you some of the set pieces, or they used to show you some of the set pieces. I doubt they still have any of that up.
Okay.
I don't know. I did not look that up.
So what you're saying is in the Hollywood backlot tour, you go down, there's one point where there's the Amity Lake, and you're saying Murder, She Wrote was actually filmed there at that part.
Filmed at that park. The backlot tour piece of it was on Amity Lake.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
But what comes after Murder, She Wrote, right? That's the question. They closed that ride in 1994. We're going to need something really big to bring the audience in. And that's why we get Hercules and Xena, Wizards of the Screen.
Okay.
Hercules and Xena, Wizards of the Screen, opened in the summer of 1997, replacing Murder, She Wrote Mystery Theater. The attraction was a live show demonstrating production on the Hercules the Legendary Journeys and Xena Warrior Princess series. The live action show also featured members of the audience fighting stunt performers. It was similar to the Murder, She Wrote Mystery Theater, which had previously occupied the attraction soundstage building, in that guests were taken through different rooms and shown what production looks like. Guests were taken through 4 rooms in total, where they participated in production and post-production of a new TV movie in the Hercules and Xena series. One scene included a park guest lending their voice to an animatronic monster. The show ended with clips from the upcoming TV movie being shown on TV screens, incorporating effects previously recorded during the attraction's main experience. The final performance was on February 20th, 2000.
When was Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess? They were separate shows, right? Or
They were separate shows. Same universe, separate shows.
When was the last one of those, whichever the later one was, off the air? When was the last time a Hercules or Xena television show aired a new episode?
Xena ended June 18th, 2001.
Oh, shit, really?
Hang on. Even if I was lying, you think I wouldn't have looked this up? Come on, Nathan.
No, I expected you to look it up. I expected it to be like, well, it ended in 1997, so there's no reason they would have still had a ride around in 2000. Like.
You know what? Good point. Good point. Well, so Hercules ended in 1999. Okay. So it was done for a year before the ride closed.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, the whole, like, you're going to be in a scene, and we're going to film it, and we're going to show you guys on television. Like, this is the episode. Makes a lot of sense for a theme park, especially a Universal. It's such a weird show to be like, we're going to show you in an episode. Of all the things you came to Universal to do, you really wanted to be in an episode of Hercules and Xena at, like...
Uh-huh.
And also, these are two separate shows. I don't know what show they said you were going to be on.
They cross over. Hercules and Xena used to cross over a lot.
Was she ever a regular in Hercules? I mean, this isn't I guess.
I don't think she was a regular, but she showed up frequently enough. All right. I think she showed up there first and then got her own show.
Okay. I think Tabby knows a lot about this, actually, so I'm frustrated I can't see chat.
You really want to see the chat right now, don't you? You really want to see the chat. You cannot see that chat.
All right.
Because, Nathan, we got to talk about what replaced Hercules and Xena. Before we got to the Transformers Golden Age, which, by the way, that ride is trash. I hate Transformers. The story makes no sense. Universal cares about stories, and clearly with this ride, they didn't anymore.
I've been on that ride. I don't remember the story.
Okay, the story, real quick, in a nutshell. For some reason, we're a bunch of civilians evacuating a city, and the Autobots say, hey, civilians, by the way, the car that you're riding in is actually a Transformer as well, and we need him to transport this powerful nuclear allspark that can destroy the universe.
Right.
It's fine. You're going to ride in there with him. He's good at protecting people, though. Don't worry about it. Anyway, stupid. Dumb. Let's talk about what replaced it. The Law & Order SVU Experience. Law & Order SVU Experience opened in the summer of 2001, replacing Hercules and Xena, Wizards of the Screen. The SVU Experience was a hybrid of a theater-based experience, like Murder, She Wrote and Herc and Xena, and a gallery of props and costumes from the show. In the theater presentation, the audience would watch a montage of SVU moments, followed by Mariska Hargitay. Sorry, I really don't know this actress's name, nor do I know anything about SVU, so if I butchered that, I'm so sorry. Mariska Hargitay and Ice-T would be coming on screen to talk about the making of the show, and it would put a heavy focus on the makeup art and prop design. The audience would then get to direct a scene of SVU where the actions on screen would change based on what the audience wanted to see. Unlike Murder, She Wrote and Herc and Xena, this was a much shorter runtime, coming in at 15 minutes, because afterwards, the audience could then spend as much time as they wanted in the gallery. The gallery was set up to look very similar to the Lucy Experience, which was also at Universal Studios, to the Lucy Experience at the park, and guests would be able to press buttons to see the props and costumes they were looking at shown in scenes that they were used in the show. This experience was designed to only stay for 1 year. However, due to its surprising popularity, it ended up staying a fixture until about 2009, when Universal, NBC, and Wolf Films ultimately moved the experience to the neighboring iDrive, where they could set up a structured tour and were not restricted by the family-friendly requirements that a theme park has. It was, of course, replaced by Transformers The Ride in 2013.
I'm not going to use my question to try to trip you up on timing again, because I'm like, Ice-T, when was Ice-T in it? But when did you say Hercules and Xena stops in 2000, and when does this start?
2001, 1 year gap. Admittedly, it was early 2001 because late 2001 was not a good year for building anything, so it was probably not even a full year gap.
I'm so.
Did I have a date? Hold on. I think it was summer.
Oh, it's fine. 2001's enough.
Okay. It was June.
Because here's the thing. I was like, you're going to be so proud of yourself if you could trick me into thinking that there was a Hercules and Xena themed experience. What a dumb property to base anything off of. And then now you're trying to convince me that there was a Law and Order SVU themed experience for a long time. For like a while, until 2009. And then
2009.
and then that lot's out vacant for 4 years.
So a little more on that lot. It did sit vacant for a while because they ultimately used half the building to do the donkey show. That sounded awful. The Shrek donkey show is attached to that building as well.
Yes.
So that ended up becoming an area for the actual Shrek actors because that show gained a lot of popularity in the time, and then also became a storage unit for Halloween Horror Nights props.
Where on iDrive is my question.
The SVU experience is right. So if you hold on, if you know where Old Wet and Wild was,
okay, yeah,
what is their new theme park? I just can't remember the name of it. Yeah.
Right off
down.
I-4.
Yeah, right off I-4. If you go down iDrive towards the more touristy area, just maybe like 5 blocks. That's it. It is on the right-hand side. It is about 2 blocks away from the Titanic experience, which is also a thing on iDrive. I know about this because I almost went to that just out of pure curiosity, and then I read reviews, and it was terrible. The SVU one I always wanted to go to, but I kept telling myself, well, they have one of those in Vegas, so it's not unique to Orlando. I can do that another time.
You're trying to convince... How did I never see a Law & Order SVU thing on iDrive? Like,
I don't know.
And you said you always wanted to go, but you don't know Law & Order SVU.
Not always wanted to go. That's not fair. Rather, I was so curious why it warranted an iDrive offshoot when the Universal attraction was trash.
I am so torn. I have no idea. I have not a clue. My only clue on story 1 is that I've been on the Universal Backlot tour in Hollywood. And there's a few key centerpieces. Namely like the house from Psycho. You can go up to it and be like, take a picture on the porch. And the hotel, Bates Motel. I don't remember Amity Lake, but I could just be wrong. Okay, all right. Well, let's go ahead and start a poll really quickly. Let's let everybody go ahead and make their own guesses, huh? We're going to open up the poll really quickly. Feel free to participate and tell us what you think. All right. So my thought process is, if it's Murder, She Wrote, you were trying to catch me off with something that is so far removed from us that I just would have no reason to not believe that there was a Murder, She Wrote ride, because yeah, that seems weird, but so does Law & Order SVU. So like, they've been putting weird shit in that building forever. So you're either trying to trip me up with knowledge I just don't know because it's too far removed. Hercules and Xena, I wanted to call that fake so bad. Now I'm just like, the amount of detail about like they filmed I guess you could pull that from anything. They film you and then they show you in a final cut of but it just feels so Universal. And then Law & Order SVU.
Really? But the Law & Order one didn't, with directing a scene? Like, literally all of them did the same thing.
It does, but it's Law & Order SVU, which is so crazy. And also, it's on iDrive, and I don't remember that. And then after this, you're going to tell me, like, it really, like, I'm going to find out that was true. And it really is a Law & Order SVU experience on iDrive. Because if I don't guess Law & Order SVU, I'm going to kick myself when that is a lie. Like, if that is the lie and I don't guess it, I'm going to be so frustrated. You're so proud of yourself.
I am. I'm so proud of these stories.
My guess is Law & Order.
You're absolutely positive. You want to lock that in?
I want to lock it in.
All right. Nathan.
Yeah.
Clearly, you haven't been on iDrive enough.
Oh, really?
Because if you'd been on iDrive, you would know there is no Law & Order show on iDrive. There's a CSI show on iDrive, you idiot. There's never a Law & Order at Universal. You got it right. You got it right.
Oh, I was not confident though. I was about to roll a die. I was about to be like, I don't know. Oh my
I'll put it to you this way.
gosh.
Originally, all I had planned is I knew I was going to mention the Murder, She Wrote show. I was like, oh, that's just so ridiculous. I have to talk about
I mean,
this.
literally, the thing is, you had me at every story. I was like, you told me the one, and I was like, that's a lie. And then you told me two, and I was like, oh, he thinks he's so clever. That's the lie. And then story 3 comes along, and I'm like, my hair is turning gray. I don't know.
Yeah. But once I saw that Herc and Xena were in the same building, I was like, well, I got to focus on this building. It is a building of failure for Universal. It is the worst.
Those are great stories.
Murder, She Wrote, absolutely real. Herc and Xena, absolutely real. And Law and Order SVU, not so much. But there really is a CSI show on iDrive. That part.
Oh
is
my
true.
gosh. Well, so you got to vote for story number 1 and a vote for story number 3, by the way. So we'll go ahead and close that poll. Well done.
Well, hold on. Did Tabby get
Let's
it
see.
right?
Vote
She always gets
story
it right.
1. No, Tabby guessed story number 1, and Dork in the Dark guessed story number 3. And then
Ooh.
Tabby says she used to take your picture with Hercules and Xena, so she remembers that.
Of
She says,
course.
I swear I've seen something about Law and Order. So there is a CSI experience on iDrive.
Yes, there is a CSI experience. I was hoping you'd been to iDrive enough that you saw that and were going to confuse it in your head with Law and Order.
I don't remember that even.
That was why I added that hook. That was a mistake. That was a bad call on my part.
Oh, yeah, no. Arky is Dork in the Dark. Arky got it right.
Oh, way to go, Arky.
Well done. Oh, good job. All right. Okay. We're gonna quickly. I changed the number now. Haha. I reminded myself that you changed you changed the score when you guessed the lie, and I got it right. So we are currently tied. We're gonna go ahead and shoot into a 60-second ad break, and then we're gonna tell 3 stories about Disney. Bye.
Choo 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 choo. Murder.
Oh my gosh, Dan. Oh, here, I'll unmute you. Wow. Well done with your stories, nonetheless.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. I wish I had tricked you. It's okay. It's okay, because I'm going to get yours, and I'm going to put a 4 underneath my name.
That may or may not be the case. That might just happen.
Right.
We just don't. Right there. You there. All right, Dan.
I can't do it.
Now, what I know about you is that you do know Disney. You've been to Disney. You've had Disney passes. You've lived in Orlando for a long time.
I've worked at Disney.
You've worked at Disney. Yeah, exactly. So this is hard because you're going to have, I think, a little bit more knowledge about both of these parks combined than I have about them on the whole. But how many times have you in your life been to Disneyland?
That's a big old 0.
And I'm capitalizing on that fact because my 3 stories had to be about Disney, and I picked them of the land variety.
I was wondering why in the poster you had chose Disneyland. I thought
did.
about that.
I put a big old Disneyland logo right there.
I could have hit you with all Universal Japan stories, and I didn't do that because that would have been fair. No, I'm kidding.
So let's do this.
I'm ready because I know Disneyland.
Because there's no logic to mine, it doesn't go in chronological order like yours. I'm going to do what I did last week, which is I'm going to straight up randomize my stories. There's no logic. We're going to go, I'm typing ABC. We're going to randomize. Perfect. I'm going to tell you the stories in the order I currently see in front of me. All right, Dan. So, story number 1. Now, these are interesting factoids. There's a lot of lore around Disneyland because it's the oldest iteration of the park, because it's the one, you're doing your King Kong face, because it's the one that Walt has his hands on the most. He also had the most influence in what he wanted it to be like. And there's, you look up Disneyland factoids and there's just like a million random things. Like Walt had an apartment above Main Street that he stayed in, you know, things about how he got the inspiration for Disneyland coming from his daughters. A lot of really interesting things, but ultimately everything that touched Disneyland was really around what Walt wanted for his vision. So, my first story really taps into Walt Disney's ideas for what the future could be. Because Walt Disney was very much that way. We call it the agri-future. So keeping Disneyland beautiful is no easy task. An army of gardeners work between 2 a.m. and 11 a.m. to keep the beautiful flower beds, hedges, and gardens as crisp and clean a display for all to enjoy. But there's one area of Disneyland that requires a certain amount of special attention. That's Tomorrowland. What do you know about Walt Disney's sort of spirit of the future?
Immediately when you said it, I just thought about Epcot. It was
Yes.
his idea of everyone living and working within their own community.
Yeah, true. Yeah, everybody living and working and contributing, and it's sort of self-sustaining in that way. And Walt never got to visit that city of tomorrow. So this was his city of tomorrow. It's the one he actually got to visit. That's all true. He felt the future would be self-sustaining, a hungerless dreamscape he called the agri-future. To encapsulate this dream as part of the only city of tomorrow Walt ever got to visit, Walt demanded that all the plants of Tomorrowland be edible. Now, it's not quite as Willy Wonka as you're thinking, right? It's not giant, like, candy plants or anything like that. But if you visit Disneyland...
That's disappointing.
I know. But if you visit Disneyland, still to this day, all of the plants in Tomorrowland are all edible. So if you visit, you'll find the plants in Tomorrowland are filled with neatly planted and trimmed kitchen sage, rosemary, and citrus plants. Move a bit further and you'll find beds of herbs and veggies, even lavender, strawberries, oregano, and tricolor sage. According to one employee, they catch visitors trying to eat leaves from the veggies and herbs all the time because they look so good, and the employees have to stop them so they don't make themselves puke with pesticides.
So it's not actually an agri-future. You can't actually
eat the edible plants, correct? But they are technically edible.
I guess.
In most, most plants that get farmed and actually produced and sent to the grocery stores are washed and cleaned before they get sent, right? Of any
Which
sort of
makes sense. Yeah.
Sure,
so, like, of course.
Pesticides are used. Yeah, right. That's why there's controversy around pesticides in general. They're still used in things you eat. They're just not on the things when you eat them. Yeah. That's story number 1.
So I guess... Okay, my question. In your research, did you come across any reason why that is not the case at Disney World?
No, I came across people asking, can I eat the plants in Tomorrowland at Disney World? And on an official Disney blog or a Disney travel page, there was a post from some sort of moderator or something saying, at Disneyland, this is the case. However, we cannot speak for what currently happens at Disney World. Either way, I would not suggest eating the plants. Essentially was the wording that came from it. So, but it does not seem that this is the case in Disney World. Okay. Because people have asked, and the answer they got back from Disney was inconclusive.
I will say I've never seen sage or rosemary in Tomorrowland. So I have a feeling that it is not the case, but I also could not have been looking for it because I wouldn't have ever thought to look for that.
Right. That's the thing. Like in our little back patio thing, there's just randomly rosemary growing, and it's like a large bush. I wouldn't have thought of it as an edible plant if I didn't know what rosemary kind of looked like, right? It just looks like a big bush, but it's edible. Make sure you're not looking at chat, by the way.
Oh,
nothing came through.
Now I'm not. No.
A chat came through, but it wasn't an answer. But just a reminder.
Thank you, because I literally kept glancing at chat, just like, oh, what's going on here? So yeah, I'll stop doing that.
And Tabbykins does say Disneyland and Disney World are different, so different on so many levels. They are. And I'll give a quick aside here to say that I'm not going to tell a story about this ride, but Tabby and I love this ride. There's a ride at Disney World I do not care for, that at Disneyland is a masterpiece. It's a Small World is a really great ride, believe it or not. It's actually a really well-crafted, beautiful piece of architecture. It is still a joyful romp through the world, but in Disney
sort of.
Well, yeah, it's still the same sort of tone is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not like a horror ride at Disneyland, but
damn it.
But it's this gorgeous, it's a whole building. It stands alone. It's this gorgeous, beautifully architected sort of Art Nouveau deco piece thing. And then inside, I just feel like it's a lot more full with more things to see, and it's a little longer. It just feels more planned. It feels like in Disney World they stitched together this version that they could push out quickly.
At Disney World, it's a nap spot. That's where I go to take a quick nap if it's a hot day.
Right. But worth looking into A Small World at Disneyland. It's really good. Okay, story number 2.
Okay.
This story is called The 3, parenthetical 4, Closures. So, ironically, for this year, Disney has a pretty reputable history of staying open in the midst of chaos. As I was looking this up today, and as I found this fact, the article that I'm referencing in here, which I'll post later, straight up says Disney's only closed 3 times in its history. It's not an article that was written this year, so I'm like, oh, this is sad. Like this could have been written last year, and they were still right. Now they're not. And this is by large the longest closure. But prior to 2020, the park had only ever closed 3 times. The national mourning, there was a day of national mourning for JFK. There was the day of 9/11. And then there was one time in 1994. And that's the sort of short story I'm going to tell you about that time in 1994. Because it's not quite as monumental. But in 1994 was a year of particularly aggressive wildfires in Southern California area. LA County experienced an estimated $1.2 billion, about $2.1 billion in 2020 in damage in LA County alone. Anaheim, located in Orange County, is largely removed from some of the surrounding brush. Nevertheless, it is susceptible to the same heat and dry conditions as the rest of the area, and on July 24th, 1994, a small brush fire broke out behind the scenes of the park. The fire started in an area inaccessible to guests behind a facade located at the train station in New Orleans Square. It wasn't until the smell of smoke breached the area that guests and employees alike took notice, and the fire department was called. Despite the limited nature of the fire, Anaheim Fire Chief ordered the park shut down for the day, and Disneyland shut down for only the second time in its history. It was after this event that the Disneyland Fire Department was established, which is a functional fire department that works daily to ensure the safety of the park. And there you go.
So the fire department didn't exist, even though Walt's apartment was above a fire station.
It's above what is currently... Well, I actually don't know that to be the case. I know that it's above Main Street, and maybe above what is currently the fire station. The building existed, but the fire department is currently the fire station. Do you want me to look up where Walt's apartment is based in Main Street?
Yeah, do a quick look, because I was pretty sure his apartment was above the fire station, and it's weird if they did a Main Street fire station without a fire department.
1 second.
I don't know why I'm having you look this up like you're not going to just lie to me if it's a lie. Of course you're going to lie to me like this is...
I mean, is that part of the rules? Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, if it's a lie, what are you going to tell me truth about the lie?
No, this says it's just above like the corner where like in Disney World it would be the entrance to the what do they call the big long store that like connects but it doesn't look like it connects. Mm-hmm. It's the front left version of that where there's a window, a red window I'm looking at.
Okay.
At least the apartment that's being referenced here.
Okay.
The fire department does exist. They mainly put out trash fires from cigarettes. That's mostly what their job day to day consists of now.
Which I have to assume doesn't even happen that frequently anymore anyway.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they're all going to be out of a job soon.
Yeah. No.
Got
what? No.
But no.
Oh, the Emporium. We got from chat is the name of the E
Thank
word
you.
I was looking for. That long Emporium.
Are the Disney firefighters unionized? Never mind. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. Story number 3. The story, I didn't give it a clever name.
Great.
It says pirates.
This bodes well.
Really quickly, my friend Nick got me a kalimba for my birthday, and so I just need to quickly this because the story is called Pirates. That was the Pirates of the Caribbean theme.
Yeah.
I did it on a kalimba.
How long did that take you to learn?
I've been learning it all day.
Oh, so just today.
Today. It's easy. It's easy.
You're not a prodigy.
So, for lovers of Disneyland, Pirates of the Caribbean is considered to be one of the best theme park rides of all time. A peaceful boat ride abruptly and interrupted by a group of scallywag pirates. An adventure that's inspired generations of dark rides and theme park boat trips and at least one good movie. But there's one major difference between Pirates of the Caribbean. Thank you.
Very good.
But there's one major difference between Pirates of the Caribbean and its many descendants. The skeletal pirates strewn about the attraction were once made of real human remains. And some people, including former Disney employees, insist that a few of them still are. So, Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean, built in 1967, was the last ride whose creation Walt Disney himself supervised. Before the passenger boats were completed, the Imagineers pushed him through on a dolly and solicited his feedback. He loved it, and this was hard-won praise for the team that worked on it. However, after creating such realistic mayhem, the design team was disappointed by the faux skeletons of the period, which they found just too unconvincing, quote-unquote. So they hit up their friends at the UCLA Medical Center and got some grisly props from the anatomy department. Eventually, as fake skeleton technology improved, a new generation of Imagineers replaced the real ones, apparently returning the real skeletons to their countries of origin and giving them a proper burial. However, according to some employees, there may still be secrets lying in wait in the good old POTC. People disagree on just exactly what remains remain. The consensus of fan investigation is that 2 skulls on a small island just right after the second waterfall, and a whole torso trapped under a beam in a burning jailhouse. But there may yet be more undiscovered. And that's story number 3.
I feel like legally you have to keep track of human remains. It's weird that they wouldn't know for sure. This has a very like Devil in the White City kind of feeling. Like, did Disney kill some people and then use this as a cover to put the bodies somewhere? Or
the official explanation is that they came from UCLA, but we just don't.
Yeah, that's the official explanation. Just like H.H. Holmes was just selling skeletons to a college. It's no big deal.
Right.
I can't think of a question for this one because as soon as you said Pirates of the Caribbean, I thought you were going to talk about. I thought I knew what lie was coming out of your mouth. I thought you were going to talk about the ghost story in Pirates of the Caribbean, which is a Disney World story, and I was like, oh, I know what he's doing.
That there's actually a ghost in the. Is that the story? Like that there's actually a ghost in the Pirates of the Caribbean at Disney World?
Yeah, apparently there is a ghost. If they do not greet him before starting the ride every day, the ride will break down at some point in the day. That is the story.
Got it.
I have no idea if I believe that at all. I'm not necessarily opposed to the belief of ghosts, but I just don't know if I believe that one.
Sure.
Okay, you've been on Pirates of the Caribbean many times. I have to assume is the one in Disneyland very different than the one in Disney World?
The beginning is the second waterfall I referenced would be before what you would consider to be the drop at the beginning of the ride, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Once you get down,
Okay, so it's in the cove area, like
Yes,
that.
correct.
In Disney World, it's the like dead.
yes,
oh,
yes.
no,
In Disneyland, there's a falling like steam waterfall or smoke water. It looks like a waterfall you're going to ride right into, but it's just a smoke machine and a projection picture of Davy Jones, Bill Nye.
Yeah. Well, no, now it's Blackbeard.
You might be right.
They changed it to Blackbeard. It's not as good.
Oh, we have an Imagineer 73 in the chat here to fact check us. Oh no! Oh god!
Oh, he came on for my moment of shame.
Nathan, what have you done? All right, so quick recap. The 3 stories are: all the plants in Tomorrowland at Disneyland are edible. That the park shut down in 1994 for a small brush fire, just for a day, second time in its history. And that Pirates of the Caribbean may still have real people skeletons, but definitely did at one point.
Nathan, I gave you Murder, She Wrote, Herc and Xena, and Law and Order SVU, and you're trying to tell me now that Disney has been hiding bodies in Pirates of the Caribbean. Look, I have to, for sanity and decency, I have to say story number 3 is a lie. I have to believe that at no point would an Imagineer, look, I get it. Imagineers, they care a great deal about the theming. It is, I think, what gives Disney its magic is that specific position, right? That is truly the hero. But I also don't think any of them are, well, let's not say crazy enough. Some of them are crazy. I don't think any of them would put real skeletons into a Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Do I think that Disney would be forced to close because of a fire? Not because they chose to, but because the city was telling them to do so? Yeah, absolutely. And I bet they were pissed about it, which guess what Disney would do if they're pissed? Make their own fire department. All that checked out. That made sense. Do I think that they might plant edible plants in Tomorrowland because Walt Disney thought that like the future was going to be filled with edible flora and fauna? Yeah, the man would believe that, and bless his heart for that. That's what made him an idealist, a futurist, if you will. The fact that they've kept that going this long, even though people keep trying to eat it, is impressive. That they haven't just moved to wax versions of it, but I also feel like they would never change something that Walt purposely did, regardless of how bad the upkeep is. So I have to go with story number 3 being the lie.
Okay. You've got the
I'm going to hate myself.
You've got the same conviction as me with Law and Order, which is like, I just can't not guess this. I'm sorry. It's just, it's too much.
if I'm wrong about the other ones, I'm not going to be upset. But if I let skeletons on Pirates of the Caribbean slide, come on. What world are we in?
All right, Dan, are you ready? Oh, our votes are in. Imagineer says Dan ...
No.
Walt's apartment is above the fire department, which has always been there.
I was right.
There was no brush fire. That didn't happen.
Oh. I knew. But see, where you got me was because I actually stopped and thought, and I was like, well, I've never been to Disneyland. Maybe it's just that they made a model of Walt Disney's apartment above the fire department at World.
Jason, I picked Disneyland because Dan doesn't know it. I'm so happy.
I'm so upset.
All right.
I'm so upset.
So here's a few little extra facts. So one, Disney did shut down another time in the 90s for an earthquake, which Dwayne in the chat knew. Jason says shame. It shut down for an earthquake. They did shut it down. There's a few interesting facts here. Yeah, there was no brush fire. I did the reverse calculation of what $1.2 billion in fire damage in LA County would have been in 2020 for inflation. All that.
Of course
stuff.
You did. Of course you did. Of course you factored inflation into your life, you crazy person.
So
I just said Ice-T came on screen.
when we talk about this, I'm going to have to link to this blog that I pulled some of this data from about the skeletons, but there were real skeletons. That is actually documented fact. Whether there are is the rumor still skeletons there? There are, like, one employee has pointed out that there are 3, but then another was like, well, there are definitely 2 more, but we just don't know where they are. Some people say that the skull at the end of it, which is like really prevalent, I think it's above, I don't know if it's above Jack Sparrow, but it's in like a centerpiece. It's darker than the rest of the skeletons in the ride, and they say that that's a real skull. And then there's some other interesting things. So in a ride most famous for its convincing illusions, besides all the animatronics, there's a burning town so realistic, the Anaheim fire chief almost shut it down. And I pulled the fire chief thing from there because that actually did happen. The fire was almost so real that he was like, people are going to get out of the boat when they see it's on fire. So no. Yeah, so they say there's extra details inside of that skull around the nose.
Pirates is so much better in Disneyland than apparently.
I actually really like Pirates in Disneyland. And it starts by going by the restaurant by Blue Bayou and this really creepy like swampland that you don't get in Disney or Disney World. Josh of Disneyland Report points to a skull and crossbones decorating the headboard of an ornate bed, itself home to a skeletal pirate captain with a sleeping cap. He says if you look closely, you'll notice they're darker and more aged than the rest of the skeletons on the ride. David Erickson of Fresh Baked Disney has heard that this particular skull was donated by an Imagineer. The blog Disney Dose even got a cast member to confirm this theory. I've heard there are 2 more, she said, but I haven't found them yet.
I'm sorry, that's too many skeletal remains in a theme park. That's too many. That's too many.
Especially
there
for
shouldn't
Disneyland.
be a debate.
Oh, Dan, do you know why I'm so happy today?
Because you tied.
We're tied finally. I think
You're
for the first
tied.
time in the history of this game, we are tied. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. That also means that
I know.
the winner of today gets the good topic for 2 weeks from now. Now, Dan, what event is happening in September, the next time we'll do this podcast, that we're celebrating?
Also, September happens to be my birthday month.
Amazing.
So it's very near and
And
dear
August
to
is
my heart.
my birthday month. I just had my birthday.
Yeah, we really should have done. This is your show. We really should have done it this month.
It's actually kind of perfect. We'll do it right between, right? It's perfect.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's synchronicity.
And there are all sorts of interesting stories throughout history of weird days people were born that were just sort of coincidental, serendipitous, or other things were happening, or their birth was just a crazy event. And weird, strange things about the days people died. So we're going to split those 2 topics up.
Yep.
And Dan, you're going to tell us 3 stories about famous, interesting birthdays throughout history. And I'm going to talk about death days throughout history.
That's so much better.
People died.
Famous people's death is far more interesting than famous people's birth.
The interesting thing already is that most of my people wound up in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, apparently. And then Walt Disney just gave their skeletons a bleach bath, put them onto an island somewhere and said, don't ask where I got it. It was a college, okay? Let's not ask any more questions.
This is Pirates. Here we go. Oh, no. I did it.
Did you summon Johnny Depp with that?
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for joining BS in History. I hope you learned something and forget one of these facts.
Don't forget any of them. It doesn't matter, right? Because who's going to call you on it if you say that Law & Order SVU had an attraction at Universal? Everyone's going to go, yeah, I could see that.
So good. Oh my gosh. Oh, play it slower. Wait, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, hold on. I keep going.
I'll always remember this as the day I almost got it right.
Yeah, that's slower.
You apparently trained yourself on fast.
I did. I can't do it slow at all. It's muscle memory at this point. Oh my gosh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining. We will see you guys in 2 weeks for another episode of BS in History, all about birthdays and death days. Heebie-jeebie. Oh, we're at the end of the show. I'm so sorry.
No. Hey, but it'll be on YouTube.
It will be on YouTube. It'll be on Twitch. This is a good one to listen to for sure. There were some interesting stories told today. If you know Universal Studios or Disney at all, or you don't, you might just get to play along. If you don't know much.
If you love the hit TV show Murder, She Wrote, you're going to learn a lot.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much for an awesome podcast. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.